Give yourself permission.
You've been waiting for permission. I'm a psychiatrist, I'm a DJ, and I work at the intersection of music, the mind, and style, and the version of you haven't let out yet. Give yourself permission. I'm Dr. Mona Amini, not your typical psychiatrist, and this is Give Yourself Permission. I'm going to say something that might sound a little aggressive, but stay with me. I don't want to be your next podcast. I don't want to be your 45-minute deep dive with 5 ad reads and a sponsor code for a mattress that you're never going to buy. I don't want to be another clinician sitting behind a ring light telling you to practice gratitude and regulate your nervous system like that's the whole answer. I'm a board-certified psychiatrist. I have the degree, the title, the letters after my name. But I am telling you right now that most mental wellness content is boring. And boring doesn't heal anybody. Here's what happened. I started paying attention to what people were actually searching for. Not in my office, but out there. On their phones at midnight, in their group chats, in the comment sections of almost every reel about anxiety and burnout and situationships that have gotten like 3 million views. And what I saw was this. People are desperate for real answers, not pamphlets, not a, 10-step framework, not someone who talks about mental health like a legal disclaimer, not an influencer who hasn't treated clients. They want to know why they keep choosing the same person who's wrong for them. They want to know if the way they feel on Sunday nights is normal. They want somebody who can tell them the truth about confidence, where it actually comes from, and why it disappears the moment somebody criticizes their outfit. They want answers that sound like a conversation, not a consultation. And I got tired of watching that space get filled by people who either have the credentials without the personality or the personality without the credentials. So I decided to do it myself. And do you remember when TV used to care about the audience, like genuinely, before the algorithm told us what to make? Before every show was engineered to retain your attention for the next episode instead of actually giving you something? What do you think? And mean it. I want to go back to that. Not because I'm nostalgic. I'm a psychiatrist, not a time traveler, but because something got lost when content just stopped being for the viewer and started being for the numbers. It stopped being human. And this show is for the viewer. This is built around your questions, your reality, and your life outside the therapy office, which, let's be honest, most of us don't have access to anyway. You are the show. I'm just the one with the answers. So here's what Give Yourself Permission actually is. It's mind wellness, but not the kind that asks you to sit in silence for 45 minutes and call it healing. It's mind wellness that looks like your life. which means we're talking about relationships and music and what you need to wear to feel like yourself again. We're talking about confidence and how the brain processes things like songs that hit different when you're going through something. We are going to make this interesting. We are going to make this honest. And yes, we're going to make it a little edgy because your mental health doesn't stop being relevant when you put on a great outfit. Your brain is with you on the dance floor too. And I built this because I am tired of mental wellness being beige. I am tired of it being something we're whispering about and have to tiptoe around. Your mind is the most powerful thing you own. It deserves to be talked about like it matters, and it deserves to be a little fun. So now here's the part that matters the most to me. Every episode of this show is going to start with a real question from a real person, not a hypothetical, not something made up, something someone actually wanted to ask, but wasn't sure they were allowed to. And that's where you come in. I want to know what's keeping you up at night. I want the questions you've been too embarrassed to Google, the ones that you've been holding onto since your last relationship ended, or your last job, or the last time that you looked in the mirror and you didn't really fully recognize yourself. The ones that your friends are tired of hearing, the ones that you've never said out loud. Bring them all here. All of them. I promise you no jargon, no judgment, and no boring. You're going to get real answers from someone who went to med school, so you didn't have to, and who also happens to have pretty strong feelings about music and fashion, and why both of those things are actually mental health tools. But that's for another episode. The link to submit your questions is below. It takes 30 seconds. And for our very first episode, I already have one. If you're new here, and for this first episode, you probably are, most of you are, welcome. This is Give Yourself Permission, where the couch meets the booth. This is what happens when your therapist, your DJ, and your most honest friend are the same person. And she's reading your DMs. Every episode, I crack open a fortune cookie. Inside is the question, submitted by somebody in this community. I read it, I answer it, and I close with a track I want you to sit with. Let's crack the first one open. Our first question comes from Hopeful Romantic. I keep saying I want a healthy relationship, but somehow I always end up falling for people who aren't fully available. They tell me they're not ready, can't commit, outpour love, send mixed signals, keep me at arm's length, and somehow I convince myself it'll be different with me. Why do I keep attracting emotionally unavailable partners when all I want is something real? I think a lot of people are going to relate to this. And I think even more people are going to recognize themselves in it. Because what you're calling attracting unavailable people is not a pattern of bad luck. It's a pattern of familiarity. And those are very different problems with very different solutions. So here's what this cycle actually looks like. You meet somebody, there's chemistry, um, there's pull. There's something that feels like electricity, right? And then the signals start. They are inconsistent. They're hot and cold. They're present and then they're gone. They tell you that they're not looking for anything serious, or they tell you nothing at all. And you spend that space between their texts and writing the story for them. Instead of that inconsistency being a deal breaker for you, it actually becomes a magnet. And because part of your brain reads that uncertainty as a challenge, that part believes if I can just get them to chase me, that means something. But that's not love. That's an attachment wound looking for resolution. And so, how do you break that pattern? First, you notice what you're responding to. Is it their I- is it them, or is it uncertainty? Is it genuine connection that feels warm and consistent and safe? Is it the obsession that comes from the unavailability and that feels urgent, electric, and anxious? These are not the same thing. And your nervous system may have spent years confusing between these. Second, I want you to believe people. I want you to believe people when they tell you who they are. I'm not ready is a complete sentence. It's complicated right now, or I'm complicated right now, is a complete sentence. The most painful part of this pattern is not that you weren't warned. It's that you heard the warning and decided you could change the outcome, but you can't. And it's not because you're not enough. I think that's something that I hear very commonly. It's because availability is somebody else's choice. It's not something that you earn. Third, I want you to get honest about what safe has felt like for you. If consistency has ever felt boring to you, that's the thing to look at. Not the unavailable people. The reason consistent love hasn't felt exciting enough to stay. Here's the world this question is living inside today, okay? We are in an era that has accidentally romanticized emotional unavailability. The mysterious one, the complicated one, the brooding one, the one who needs to be figured out. Pop culture has spent decades making emotional distance look like depth. Like the person who won't fully commit is just the more interesting one than the person who actually shows up every time. And dating apps and DMs have made it worse. So when there's always another option lurking behind the screens, or the one that you swipe or accept, the incentive to be fully present with that one person and only one person shrinks. And availability starts to look like desperation. And the person who holds back looks like a prize. This has done something really specific to a generation of people who genuinely want connection. That's what we're seeking. It's made them doubt capturing the attention of a person for more than a day. And it's made them doubt whether wanting something straightforward is even attractive. It is. Wanting to be loved fully is not neediness. It's the most human thing there is. Let's break down the science in a way that actually hits. First, attachment theory. Research has consistently shown that people with anxious attachment styles developed when early connection felt inconsistent or unpredictable are neurologically primed to feel most connected by people who are intermittently available. The inconsistency doesn't repel them. It feels like home. Not because it's healthy, but because it's familiar. Second, intermittent reinforcement. This is the same mechanism behind slot machines. Variable rewards, right? Hitting that slot machine, pulling that lever, sometimes yes, sometimes you win, sometimes no, with no predictable pattern. These are the most addictive reward schedules the brain knows. When someone is inconsistently available to you, every moment of connection triggers a dopamine spike. So it becomes bigger than it would be from someone that's consistently there for you. And the rarity of it makes it feel like more. It hits more. The uncertainty keeps you hooked. So when you say you can't stop thinking about them, that is not passion. That may be your brain in a withdrawal loop. The good news: patterns that were previously learned can be unlearned, but only once you can see them clearly. And guess what? You just did. You are not attracting unavailable people. You are recognizing that familiar pain and calling it chemistry. The one who never really fully shows up isn't more interesting. They're just more uncertain. And your nervous system has been trained to read uncertainty as worth fighting for. You deserve someone who is certain about you. Give yourself permission to want more. If this resonated, I want to hear from you. Submit your questions, and those are the ones that I open here. Follow me on Instagram or YouTube to drop them in real time. Join the email list for early access before episodes go live. You might hear your question in the next one. And remember, give yourself permission to want more. It's Dr. V. Let's take it there. Here's the track I'm prescribing.
Give yourself permission.